financial inclusion happened really well with the Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana. Okay. Now, what were the enablers for that? The enablers for that was the UIDAI, which is the Aadhaar, and the enablers for that was the ubiquitous use of the mobile, so the communications network. So if you look at India, India is a place which is so populous, you cannot solve these India's problems with brick and mortar. Okay, technology is the only way that you will be able to solve India's problems. All right. As I told you, workforces everywhere. Consider a school, consider a hospital. All of these places, the workforces are simply stressed out, totally stressed out. They are not able to give the kind of service that our people deserve. Now, how do you think that will actually come to pass? It is only when you use technology like Agent Force that you are going to be able to do things. We just talked at the keynote about Hero FinCorp, and they were saying that you can now hyper personalize the experience for every single customer. You can give a product tailored to a customer. So that kind of the ability to do things for individuals for a population this large can never happen without the right kind of technology. So I would say for India, this is a great opportunity. It ultimately brings about the tools that can allow us to come up to potential. Not only a few of us, those that are privileged, but all of us. So I think this is very important for the growth of India. Having
Look,
said that, yeah.
I think, I'm 33 years old, I've been working with technology. I can tell you with every technology transformation, the first thing that everybody is worried about, oh my God, is there going to be, a negative to this? And I've still not seen a cycle that I've gone through, right, where we have not grown, right? It actually ends up, fueling new opportunities. It ends up fueling much greater value. And even if you look at the history of programming, you think about the days when we learned basic and Fortran to where we are right now. Everybody said, when client server came in, they said, oh my God, software development, what is going to happen? Look at what happened. We created factories out of India, right? We took on the opportunity, we monetized it, and now you have multi-$100 billion business today. Take the Tata Group, TCS themselves, right? I mean, they hugely took advantage and value of the opportunity. So I think we need to look at this as a net positive. There are going to be sectorial trends that we will see that will be different, but outside of that, we remain very, very bullish that AI is going to be net positive and it's not going to be a challenge, particularly for this country. Right? Like Man says, to solve India problems at scale, you need technology and AI. Right? And so that's what I would say.
I completely agree with Arundhati ma'am and Arun. In fact, we say that we are the original AI, right? Air India being AI. And we strongly believe that AI is a very important component of not only our transformation but the transformation of India in general. So you asked about the difference between the global situation and India. I would say, having seen across the world, and I talked to many airline colleagues around the world, the service expectation in India is very high. Right? The customers in India expect very high service standards, and the service delivery is also very high. Right? So the warmth that you get when walking in the Air India plane anywhere in the world is absolutely amazing. Last 20, 30 flights I've been on, the absolute brilliant service that the Air India's crew are providing is inspirational. But we want to support all of them with the right set of tools, whether it is a contact center agent or the person in the plane serving you. We want to enable them with the right set of tools, AI and data, and that is where our collaboration with Salesforce is a very important component. So that in case if a customer has a service challenge and we want to recover that customer and make that performance so much better, and that is possible at scale and with personalization that Arundhati ma'am told, which is individual to you, not generically, that is only possible with AI and data.
Can I request one question? I will come back to you once we've gone through first round of questions. Next question, please. Back there. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Himanshi from Economic Times. Sir, the world is going through a lot of macroeconomic shifts right now, a lot of uncertainties on how things will pan out for all countries. At this time, do you think customers are cutting down on innovation spends? And by innovation, I mean DI and automation. Do you think that's the mood right now?
Said macroeconomics, we'll all go and look that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case because any good leader will always say never waste a crisis. Okay? Because it's at the time of crisis that you really need to innovate. What do you need to do now? Today, when the world is a very uncertain place, what you really need to do is to ensure that your company is sustainable. How do you make your company sustainable? You need better productivity, better efficiency. How do you get to those? Technology. So at the end of the day, today, no organization, and I mean no organization, not a non-profit, not a social sector, not a commercial sector, no organization, not even the government can really expect to be doing well and better unless they have a very strong technology backbone. So if you look at the boardroom conversations across the entire segment, you will find that all conversations are there regarding what are you doing to ensure that you have the best of technology? What are you doing in order to get on with your digital transformation? It's not a good to have anymore. It's a must have. And therefore, if you look at all companies, they are considering this very, very serious. If there is no problem regarding, if they are not doing this, then I would be really surprised.
The only thing I would add to this is that in a time of uncertainty, the technology spend is not question, the value will be question. Right? And we're seeing a lot of organizations asking that question. I'm happy to spend the technology, but what's my value? What's my ROI? And I'm sure the customer can affect on this. I can tell you from a demand perspective in India, we have not seen anywhere near demand. I've never seen such a protracted period where it doesn't matter what segment, whether it's small, medium business, your small enterprise, medium enterprise, large enterprises, government, the demand that we are seeing for what we do in the marketplace far outstrips the supply, right? So for us, it's constantly trying to play catch up with the demand, and I don't think I've seen it, even go on. There'll be sectoral, kind of fluctuations that you will see, right? We've seen consumer goods go through a little bit of that. We've seen a few sectors go up and down in man's time at the bank. We saw the NPA crisis, and there'll be those things that happen even through those times. I think when she was the chairman, through the NPA crisis, she invested more in technology at SBI than any of the chairmen before. And so I like what she says. Never lose an opportunity to invest in the right now.
And I think, if you want to substantiate what Arundhati and Arun was saying, as a customer, as a very important company in India, we are not looking to cut down on the tech expenditure at all. If anything, it is going to grow dramatically. Especially, look at the contracts we have to place, more than 550 aircraft orders because we believe in the growth opportunity in India, aviation India in particular, and we absolutely cannot do all that scaling without the help of technology, especially keeping the customer at the center of all this, and the zone that Salesforce is playing is serving the customer and giving the customer great experience, and that is only going to grow, right? Especially with the new powerful technologies like we are seeing today with the
Thanks, sir. Just one more question.
He said, okay. I would be doing a disservice to. We'll come back to you. Let's do one round and we'll come back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, how does India differ from other markets when it comes to the Salesforce is present? So when it comes to demand for your offerings, your services, is it sort of the same sort of experience which Salesforce has, or is India different in some ways? The ROI thing which you mentioned, given Indianness on those things, are those things
Three
being
things.
sought after from Indian clients?
I would say three things. First is scale, right? Peak season for most countries is 1 day in a year. If I want a customer like Swiggy, peak season is 15 days in a month, right? Yeah, Pakistan is a peak season. Pogal is a peak season. It's a peak day, right? Christmas is a peak day. New Year's is a peak day. God knows what else, right? We keep so the scale at which India operates, the sheer population scale and the transactions per second per hour, we just hands down beat every other country in the world with the exception of maybe China, right? And we leave China out of the equation for the time being. So one is scale. I think the second is we have to do all of that at India cost. Like Arundhati said, this is the only place where you can get a good pizza for 49 cents. A Domino's pizza, for all practical purposes, is $2. What's, today, with the inflation in the US, you struggle to find a Domino's pizza, reasonable sized pizza, for anything less than $15, right? We still sell it at $2 in India, right? Of course, with all the offers and everything. So we'll have to do it at scale. We'll have to do it at a cost which is, a fraction of what the world can afford. And we have to do all of this yesterday. I spent a lot of time in Asia and I spent a lot of time in Japan. If you understand how Japanese do technology projects, they will do a POC for 6 months. And then they will do a production pilot for 1 year. And then they will go into production at the end of 18 months, by which time they've figured out everything that can go wrong in the system. And once it goes into production, it stays for 10 years. Here we will do a POC for 2 days. And we'll go into production the 4th day. And then spend the next 6 months trying to figure out what went wrong. Right? And so, as I said, there is a cultural foundation here where we have to get everything done yesterday at speed, at agility, because as a market we are so dynamic, we don't have the time and space that some of these mature markets have. So, which is why again the concept of jugaad and all those things that define us are our strengths and our advantages, right? And so, while I'm saying we do these things, it also is the reason why we've been so nimble, so agile as a country. We continue to grow, and I tell my European counterparts, I think we still to have 7% GDP, right? At our size, we're not 100 billion, GDP. We're almost 4 trillion GDP, growing at 6-7%. So my view is that those are foundational differences that we're trying to solve for our customers. And of course, complexity of languages, cultural nuances, everything else thrown in. Sorry, anything you want to add, ma'am? You good? Okay. All right, we'll come back.
Quick follow-up on that, possibly not a question, maybe.
Okay.
But if you can just touch upon experience in the last 2 months, I guess that is where money was also coming from. So experiences in the last 2 months when it comes to interactions with Indian customers.
No change. So far, no change. I think everybody, my view is that everybody is in wait and see mode. Nobody is changing. Again, like Warren Buffett said, right, don't buy a stock, you buy a business. And so I think people are very, very clear about what their business is. And unless you are in one of those sectors that's going to be deeply affected by the potential change that comes in, for the broad India story, right? Really, we haven't seen any change or any pullback or anything of that sort so far. Yeah.
Hello.
Yep.
Hi, my question is to Satya. Hi, Satya. I hope you remember me. We had a fireside chat a few months back when the merger was happening.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes anyway.
And there was quite a few predictions that you have made. A lot of them have come true. Now, now speaking to you after a lot of water has flown down, I want to understand how is technology playing a role in this extremely complex process, and where do you see yourself now? I mean, is it going according to plan? Not going according to plan? How is it panning out?
Okay. First of all, thank you for remembering our chat and also, acknowledging that many of what we are talking about that day has come true. We are telling what we are telling before the merger because we have full confidence because we have done that much of hard work along with great partners like Salesforce. So we had the confidence to go out and say something like that, and I'm very glad that eventually it ended up as being, like Arun said, one of the, if not one of the smoothest airline merger in history. We have people coming and telling from India also when the earlier mergers happened, what was the situation versus now, right? So it is really remarkable that we pulled it off. So in terms of so technology is a very foundational component of the air India transformation. The beyond.ai transformation story. It is powered by technology, and digital being a very key component. Simply because being from India, we have to leverage what is great about India, where we have a competitive strength. We need to leverage that. Right? So technology and digital are very important component of the transformation. So is it going perfectly according to plan? There are some areas where we have done better than what we expected, and there are some other areas that we believe that we could have done better. But overall, I think, like the merger was a classic public example of all the hard work that went in and everything. So it is being recognized whenever I walk into a room of global airline executives, people listen to us with rapt attention because they realize that we have pulled off something incredible in terms of doing the transformation into 2.5 years and then doing the merger on top of that is something that is unique. And I think it is primarily because we are from India, right? Because India's digital and technology strength is today so unique and powerful at the global level that we were able to pull off something like this. So we have great ambitions going forward. We are only towards the end of the third year of the 5-year transformation. So we have lot of plans to develop and deploy new technologies. And we, like for example, agentic AI, we are very excited about because it allows us to give our customers a personalized agent that looks out for their interests within the company, gets stuff done for them autonomously with very little direction. And so we are excited by a lot of the new things that are coming up, and we continue to deploy those technologies.
Thank you, and we will have a detailed chat later. My name is Mukul, I represent the Economic Times here. Thank you.
Next person.
I'd like to ask a question in Hindi so that
Go ahead.
viewers will
Please.
and over there so we can see.
Yeah.
तो ये जो AI है और ये जो हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं इससे काफी जॉब्स अफेक्ट हो रहे हैं तो कुछ जॉब्स जो अफेक्ट हो रहे हैं उससे कई लोग उससे निकल जा रहे हैं क्योंकि AI ने उनका जॉब ले लिया है लेकिन AI एक और अपॉर्चुनिटी है तो क्या हम कुछ ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं सेल्सफोर्स की तरफ से ताकि जॉब्स जो स्किल्ड वर्कर्स क्रिएट करने के लिए और उनके लिए क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज है जो ऑल ओवर इंडिया में लोग हैं उनके लिए कुछ आप बोल
मैं मद्रासी हूँ तो मैं अपने बॉस को दे रहा हूँ क्वेश्चन तो शायद वो स्पष्ट हिंदी में जवाब देंगे
आप भी हिंदी अच्छे ही बोल लेते हैं लेकिन ऐसा है कि देखिए कभी भी जब हम लोग कोई नया चीज अपनाते हैं उस समय कुछ न कुछ हमारा जो काम के बारे में हम जो काम कर रहे थे उस काम को छोड़ के हम लोग को कुछ नया सीखना पड़ता है ताकि नए जमाने में हम नए तरीके से काम कर सकें। अब की जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हो रही है ये कोई अलग नहीं है पहले भी हम लोग बहुत बार ऐसे ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन फेस कर चुके थे और हर बार हम लोग को कुछ ना कुछ अपना जो स्किल है उसको जो हम कहते हैं कि अपग्रेड करना हमको अपग्रेड करना पड़ता है। खाली यही नहीं पुराने जो जॉब्स हैं कुछ जॉब्स ऐसे होंगे जिसकी और जरूरत नहीं होगी लेकिन नए जॉब्स आएंगे और हमें सीखना पड़ेगा वो कैसे करें। छोटा सा एग्जांपल देते हैं बैंक की तौर से हम जब बैंक में पहले दाखिल हुए थे तब हम लोग की सारे अकाउंट्स मैनुअली होती थी हाथ से लिखना पड़ता था दिन के जब दिन खत्म होता था सारे कितने हमारे डेबिट हुए कितने क्रेडिट हुए यानी कितना जमा हुआ और कितना निकला बैंक से सारी चीज हम लोग को हाथ से लिखने पड़ते थे। ओके उस काम में हम लोग के लिए एटलीस्ट 5 या 6 आदमी लगे रहते थे जुटे रहते थे। अब जब हमारा कंप्यूटराइजेशन आया वो काम तो पूरा मशीन ही करता था ये 5-6 लोग तो हमारे कोई वो काम में और करने की और इसमें नहीं रहे लेकिन ये 5-6 आदमी को क्या काम नहीं मिला दूसरा काम में उन लोग जुट गए। पहले जैसे कि हम लोग बैंक से म्यूचुअल फंड नहीं बेचते थे लाइफ इंश्योरेंस नहीं बेचते थे सबको सब चीज के लिए आपको दूसरे जगह जाना पड़ता था। अब बैंक ही से आप सारी सुविधा प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। जो फिनेंशियल एडवाइजरी है यानी कि आप अपनी जो पैसा है उसको आप कैसे यूज करेंगे कैसे उसको इन्वेस्ट करेंगे ये सब जो एडवाइजरी था वो दूसरा जगह जाके आपको प्राप्त करना पड़ता था। अभी ये लोग वो काम भी करना शुरू किए और उससे क्या हुआ बैंक का टॉप लाइन भी बढ़ा बॉटम लाइन भी बढ़ा और एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी बढ़ा दूसरे आदमी भी आके उसमें जुट गए। तो ऐसा है कि आज के जमाने में भी वही होने वाला है क्योंकि जो काम लोअर वैल्यू के हैं वो सारे काम आपका जो एआई एज है वो सारे काम एआई करेगा। आपको जो सोचना है कि हम हायर वैल्यू कैसे डाल सकते हैं हम जो काम करेंगे उसमें कैसे हम ज्यादा वैल्यू लोगों को दे पाए और उस तरीके के काम के लिए हमें अपने को तैयार करना पड़ेगा। तो ये चीज तो है ट्रांजिशन जो है ये होने वाला है। वी हैव टू बी पॉजिटिव अबाउट द ट्रांजिशन जैसे कि अरुण भी कह रहे थे कि हम लोग को कोशिश करना है कि इसको अपनाने का इसको रेजिस्ट करने से कोई काम नहीं आएगा। इसको जितना हम लोग अपनाएंगे उतना हम लोग को आसानी होगा आगे चल के काम मिलने में और काम करने में।
और ट्रेनिंग की बात, हमारे वेबसाइट है trainer.com, वहाँ पे हम सब लोग कस्टमर को, स्टूडेंट्स को भी हम फ्री ट्रेनिंग देते हैं। तो एआई में ऐसे काफ़ी सारे कोर्सेज हैं जो आप फ्री में लर्न कर सकते हैं वेबसाइट में जाके। तो ये जो वेबसाइट है, पता नहीं नंबर क्या है, बट हंड्रेड्स ऑफ मिलियंस ऑफ पीपल हैव लर्न, राइट। तो ये ट्रेलर हमारे कस्टमर्स के लिए, प्रोस्पेक्ट्स के लिए एक जगह है जहाँ पे आप जाके पूरा सीख सकते हैं, बेसिक्स ऑफ एआई से एडवांस एआई तक, और इसमें कोई कॉस्ट नहीं आता है। So that free training is already available for all.
और खाली यही नहीं, इवन इन द लॉट ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस, 2,500 इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस में हम लोग क्यूरेटेड कोर्स देते हैं जो क्रेडिट इलेक्टिव है, लोग सीख सकते हैं। हम लोग एआईसीटी के साथ 2 लाख इंटर्नशिप की बात भी किए हैं, उसमें से 60-70 हज़ार इंटर्नशिप ऑलरेडी लोग कर चुके हैं। तो नेशनल स्किलिंग मिशन के साथ काम करते हैं, नेस्कॉम की स्किलिंग मिशन के साथ काम करते हैं, प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज के साथ हम लोग की एमओयू है, जिसके तौर पे हम लोग अपस्किलिंग करने की भी प्रयास करते हैं। तो बहुत सारे स्किलिंग की जो बात कर रहे हैं ना, हमारे एक अलग ग्रुप ही है जो खाली इसी पे काम करती है। तो स्किलिंग हमारा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, वो नहीं चलेगा तो कंपनी कैसे चलेगा। तो इसलिए कॉन्स्टेंटली हम लोग स्किल की ओर नजर रखते हैं, और स्किलिंग की जो माहौल है वो तो चलेगा ही, चलते रहेगा।
Thank you for enlightening us.
We are going
How
to be another
does
15
the
minutes.
subscription model change to the AI company in terms of pricing?
Look, I think what you're going to see is that the whole world is moving towards the concept of consumption, right? And this is it's a very funny, slippery two-way street, I think, Dr. Satya, and the customer can attest to this, because the old world, if you remember, much before Salesforce came, software companies sold a license. So I was, in that old world for some time. And then I joined a company called Red Hat, which was an open source company, but you can't sell a license because the license to use an open source is free, so you can only sell a subscription, right? But still think about it as a license of sorts to use the software for a period of time, right? And the subscription model basically brought customer success to the fore, because what it said is, I'm subscribing to you for a year. At the end of the year, like for example, right, my daughter is in a college where she subscribed to a telco. The network is pathetic. At the end of the subscription period, she switched to a new telco. So the onus is on you as a vendor to be able to provide the highest levels of customer success. So subscription models bought in that, but still it was very predominantly license based. In the world of AI, it's going to be very heavily consumption based, right? It's not so much the human, but what you consume, because like he could literally say that I'm going to run my entire customer call center on AI, and that means how many transactions is he going to do? And the transaction equates to how many calls to a large language model, how many reasoning, queries that we are making to our reasoning engine, how much, capacity are we using? There's so many different variables that come in. So I think what you will see is a complete evolution of a consumption model in the world of AI. Very early days, so I think I would say we should watch. So maybe if you want
No, I think the consumption model works for our benefit because it is directly related to the business success. And obviously, we are being very careful in our spend. We watch our spend very, very carefully with what is called FinOps, financial operations on the cloud side. So we watch our consumption very carefully, but it works for us because it is directly tied to the business success. So this model is again the movement to subscription-based models and consumption-based model has worked out to the benefit of customers.
to. Pablo, just remember what he said. Yeah. Anybody else? Sorry, AI use करने का benefit. Madam said very simple. It essentially right now a big huge chunk of AI is going into productivity, right, and efficiency improvement. Simple question. आप call center में हो, call खत्म करने के बाद आपको बैठ के वो call summary लिखना पड़ता है. वो call लिखने में आपको 6-7 मिनट लगता है. Average call time होता है 2-3 मिनट. अभी call summary 1 सेकंड में जनरेट हो जाता है. आपको edit करने में 30 सेकंड लगता है. तो क्या हो गया, आपका 3 मिनट कॉल और 30 सेकंड में आपने खत्म कर दिया. पहले 10 मिनट ले सकते हैं, अभी और 10 मिनट में आप 3 कॉल ले सकते हैं. तो दो चीज होता है, एक आप ज़्यादा कॉल ले सकते हैं या कम लोग उतने ही कॉल लेंगे, तो एफिशिएंसी इमीडिएटली बढ़ता है. So efficiency is a direct byproduct, productivity is a direct byproduct. You get better customer, NPS, so your top line goes up. So all the foundational things of automation are all coming into it.
What was just money?
Correct.
So lately we have seen a lot of advancements and focus in agent space. We've seen announcements from OpenAI, Google, and then there has been the MCP protocol, which is getting a lot of attention these days. The bottom line is that the combination of RAG, reasoning, and MCP is making deploying and building agents very easy, and also agents which has a lot of agency, more agency in interacting with different databases and files. In this scenario, how does agent force basically differentiate to derive significant value add for customers? Are we all competing on pricing?
Look, I think you have to understand what is our, we call it the unfair advantage, right? And Mark talks about it beautifully. The unfair advantage is that for organizations like Air India, where does all the customer engagement data sit? It is in Salesforce, right? So I have direct access to the biggest gold mine that any organization has, which is their customer engagement. So my Agentforce platform is able to train on that data, and that data is real data, right? This is not some worldwide web, information that may or may not be accurate. This is my customer engagement data. I have direct access to it. I have the ability to interact with it in real time. If somebody has to do it from outside the Salesforce platform, they have to integrate to it. There is latency. There is a whole bunch of issues that come in. So we have what we call the unfair advantage, right? And we absolutely intend to make full use of it. So I think that's where you will see a huge difference. Like you take our customer call center, right? The fact that we're driving 85%. Sorry, somebody's got a phone up there. Please go and mute. Oh, some feedback there. Okay. So if you look at our help of Salesforce.com, right? 85% first call resolution. I was recently with a very large company in Asia that does the ride share services. They said we can't even get 40% of that. Where does that come from? It comes from the foundation of data. So I think our biggest advantage is that all of our customers who have been with us for a long period of time have significant amount. And even if their data is not with us, and Dr. Satya knows this, in Data Cloud today, we have the ability to pull data in real time without having to copy the data over and be able to use that data to then process and excite our customers. So Data Cloud brought in a new revolution of how data architecture will be set up, right? Because earlier, the concept was, oh, you want data copied over. The moment you copy it over, you lose sync, which means the data is stale. 2 seconds is all it takes. But with the new real-time zero-copy architecture that Data Cloud brought in, working in conjunction with Agentforce, 90% sits with us. Even if the 10% is outside, we don't need to copy the data. In real time, we can access. And it's two-way, bi-directional, right? So if we pick up some data and we do some work with it, we write it back into the original source as well. And so that brings in time value, agility, and saves the customer a bunch of money. So that's how we see this playing out.
Thanks a lot.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking the video.
Media bites? Okay.